Mr. McQuilkin.
Are we rolling?
We are.
Awesome. Good evening.
Good evening.
Luke, this is a later show than we normally record, but I'm still juiced up.
Yeah. Juice to the gills. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of the Premier Podcast in Strength and Conditioning.
Ing.
This is Luke, my illustrious co-host over here. Tex is going to join me for a nice little conversation. And we have Bobblehead John. For those of you on YouTube, Bobblehead John is on the microphone in John's usual seat. For those not on YouTube and just listening in your car or living room or study or basement or on a walk or in your headphones or
Traveling.
on an airplane or a train. Maybe you're on a cruise ship.
We don't have to name every option.
We don't. So why on my show notes does it say name every option that someone could be listening?
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't say that. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. You're not going to know that Bobblehead John is there because he's not going to say anything.
Well, maybe that's how they know now at this stage.
Well, hang on. What do you think about that, Bobblehead John?
Oh, don't knock it over.
Okay. Tex, let's get into the hotline, shall we?
I'm ready. This question's very near
the
and dear.
The hotline is open. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, 929-464-464.
0.
929
0.
That's right. That is how you reach the hotline. Leave us a message. Send us a text. Since John isn't here, John only likes the voicemails. And since John isn't here, Tex and I are hitting the texts.
Right. Great pronunciation.
I know. It took 40 takes. We started recording this, ladies and gentlemen, trying to get that one line this morning at 4 a.m. and it is now 4:39 p.m. It's been 12 hours of that line. It's like
you got it.
It's like Winnebago Man, which we mentioned in an earlier podcast.
Y'all need to Google Winnebago Man and watch this 8-minute meltdown. It's absolutely amazing. It's so good it hurts.
I know. Okay, we talked about that in a previous podcast too. So I got a text here. Text.
Ready.
This one's from Mary.
Oh, all right.
Mary. Au contrary. Okay, Mary says, can you... no. Mary says, found you guys months ago. Damn it, Tex. That's not Mary either. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the third time is a charm. I found it.
Okay.
You ready? Because we just answered those last two. That would be a repeater. John, Luke, and Tex, Bobblehead John. I've been a Field Strong follower since day one.
All right.
I was following CrossFit football before that. I've always logged my workouts religiously in a paper notebook.
I like your style.
Mm-hmm. But not so much in Train Heroic now. Wah, wah. Why is that, Mary? Call me old-fashioned. Oh, because she's old-fashioned. That answers that. I hear you guys talk about the training and tracking our training through Train Heroic. I'm curious, what do you guys look at? What do you track, and how does it affect the training cycles? Maybe I'll start logging.
Oh. So she's already thinking about logging.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you think she ran out of space in the notebook?
She's like, should I buy a new notebook?
Or take advantage of this
tech
opportunity?
That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, what Mary's talking about, I guess shameless plug, as you may or may not know, what we offer from Power Athlete, one of the things we offer through a program called Train Heroic, it's an app on your phone. We offer daily training and remote coaching. We have 11 different tracks you can choose from, some of which are just a few weeks long, some of which go on into perpetuity, day in and day out. For example, one of those is Field Strong, which Mary is following. We also have Jack Street, Johnny Wad, Johnny Bod, Grindstone, Bedrock, Lean and Able, Third Monkey, Hammer, Armor, Iron Flex, Speed Kills, the Warm-Up Protocol.
Yes.
We have a catalog of services, right?
Yeah. PowerAthleteHQ.com/training.
And we have, us as a team, and our staff of coaches, we have access to a back end where we publish all this stuff, and it tracks what y'all do. Like everything it tracks. We know what web pages you're going to. We know what you're buying on eBay. Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Oh, okay. That's right. It only tracks what you enter into the app. And like what you start when you looking at the training session that's dropped into your phone. You get to see the movements that we've selected, the volume, the sets, the reps. We also provide coaching points performance with every movement, even with the workout segments. If it's a superset, if we want you to do 5 right, 5 left. So as you start that session, that's an indicator to us. We get a notification and a count of how many people started a session and how many people finished a session.
Yes.
That is very helpful for us because we realize that you may have other options. So what we want to do is like understand compliance and adherence.
Yes.
This might let us know
what types
of training or workouts you like. So these are things that we're testing. Now, as you go in and you log your weight, we have access to that too. So we can look up our athletes and we can look longitudinally at their history. So for our private athletes that we're training one-on-one, we can see their individual logging and performance. Now we can see everybody's, but we just can't monitor thousands at a time with a staff of half dozen or dozen coaches that taking a peek at this stuff.
But we can. So if there are specific questions, that's the beauty of the feed. If videos are posted, we can dive in and then identify the said load of the video, because sometimes the angles are not the best, but we can help and see where they were 6 months ago or so on and so forth, or what they were tracking on Grindstone and now they transferred to Jack Street, what kind of progress was made.
So like if we're doing Bulgarian split squats, we're going to ask you to log your weight. Right.
And what's cool is if you've been with it for a while, Train Heroic offers history.
So you're going to see your lift history. If you are logging, you're going to see your lift history so you can reference it.
You don't have to flip through a bunch of...
Oh, gosh. Can you imagine having to turn pages? Gross. Okay. And then, if the workout or that particular movement calls for max reps, then we also track max reps.
Oh, yes.
Right?
This is something I do appreciate.
Go ahead. Keep going.
About the Lean Enable program. Many years working with clients, they have a fear. You say, all right, grab something heavy. And they don't necessarily grab what they're capable of, even though you're confident in their abilities, with some sizzle sets within the Lean Enable. And then they grab, let's just call it a 45-pound dumbbell. And then they knock out 20-plus reps. They write in the 20. And the next time that movement comes up, it'll show 45 for 20. And there's guidance within the Lean Enable program to say,
your past performance.
Yes. If past performance was more than 10, go heavier. So they can start to see and invest more in their abilities. So I like that.
And I missed probably one of the more important pieces of data that we do track as well, which is the readiness survey. So when you start the session,
so
you're gonna hit it.
Yes. And then in the beginning, and I have Field Strongs pulled up here, and we have the people who are logging the session. So how many clicked in within that training day? And the next piece of information that we get is the readiness score. There's a number of questions asked, such as sleep,
soreness,
mood, and it leads towards a readiness score. So if I'm looking at this grand scheme of Field Strong's PAMC cycle, I can start to see which days led to a decrease in athlete readiness. And which days, let's call it a Wednesday, led to an increase in athlete readiness from Thursday if we did some form of dynamic movement or general cardio.
Work. Same thing in like hammer when sequencing the runs, or when having volume with certain volume runs on lifts, or in Jack Street. The 3 pillars is like, so 3 pillar cycle techs and listeners is, as you know, or as you may not know, we take like a 5-day template and compress it into 3 days. So there's a week and it rotates. So there's a week where there's a double pull. So Monday you walk in, you get some heavy volume pulling, and then on Friday you have to pull again. And those readiness scores in the next week are just like crater.
What is this? Like old school rip toe?
100%.
Yeah.
But this is the beauty. Like, so we saw that in the first time we rolled out the pillars. We're like, okay, so now we need to change and augment the next week of training. And that's where you're going to see staggered stance squats.
Oh, baby.
Right? So you're going to see like deloads, so to speak, or BFR thrown in to accommodate and drop the total loading and tonnage, but still maintain training volume. But we wouldn't know that in mass without that. We could assume it, but now we have the objective data. And then we also have how long on average is it taking people to complete the session, because that's very important too.
It is very important.
You have expectations coming on the team. You're going to get done in 45 minutes, and these are 75-minute sessions. We need to know that, and there's no way we would know that without like asking you every day. So that's what's cool about the app as well.
And to finish out the day, you give us feedback on the intensity of the training sessions.
Yeah.
So
it's a 1 to 10 Likert scale.
To calibrate our intention. Of the intensity and the level there. So time plus the intensity, and that can give us a barometer next time we're able to write a cycle with this targeted outcome.
Yeah. And then that is like our at a glance analytics, and then we have dashboards as well.
So now I'm switching to this.
Yeah, we can get into a training day and we can look at tonnage, right? And you'll see, like, for the most part on certain programs, there's like a bell curve, right? Your tonnage may be, 1,100 or 11,000 pounds on a training day. And then all of a sudden you see a dude who's at like 22,000. You're like, what's up with this dude? So you click in, you look at their individual, or you see a dude or a chick who's like at 3,000, and you go click in and see what's up with that. So like, then that presents opportunities for her to hit those outliers. That's me again. Hit those outliers and understand what about their training like threw off. And oftentimes there's even a cohort that are like low or high. And you're like, well, what's up with this cohort? What do they do differently? And so that helps us inform. And sometimes it's movement substitutions.
Yeah.
Or just like partially completed workouts. And we'll see that as well. We see how many blocks you've logged. We see how many you've substituted, how many you added, things like that. What else are you looking at over there?
Finding the appropriate program, speaking of that, is if there are trends that you can pick up within the time frame of somebody is over and then it's not the right, or they're skipping, or they have not logged since.
Yeah.
Then we can step in and be the awareness. If it is it's not taking enough time, well, we have training options that are more time friendly towards people, that gives them directions on what to do, how many times a days a week that they have available, like our Grindstone program, or shorter sessions like the Lean Enable we mentioned before, and then Field Strong, which is a more in-depth. And it's the expectation that you are training 5 to 6 days a week and hitting every single thing that we give you.
Yeah.
But if you're only able to hit 2, 3, 4 of our Field Strong and you enjoy that style, it's not the right program, because there's missing certain things, and then there's a lot of potential just lacks in performance or imbalances that could present themselves. So we can have a Field Strong style for you,
right?
That we can grindstoneify that if that's what you're looking for, or if there's a limitation that presents itself within the training. If you are always subbing said or asking within the feeds, hey, I need a sub 4 because
med ball throws,
So then I view that as substitution. We have equipment, some form of barrier, like the equipment, and then we have an injury or something, or a fused ankle from back in the day, or old school breaking my femur in football. Not me, but a hypothetical person following a program. Then we can step in, we can coach and direct and put you in the best position to then move well, pain-free.
And that's whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, you're not just jumping on and getting a training program, you're immersing yourself into a coaching experience. And that brings me to like the subjective feedback we get, which isn't necessarily your logging. So first off, lesson 1 also. So of the people so we also know if you view the session, and we know if you log the session. It is a shame, Tex, even though we are the highest ranked logging provider in Train Heroic, we still have a gap between those who view the session and those who log the session. So log your sessions, people. It helps us inform the next training cycle, whether we're going to have a focus on volume, on eccentrics, on plyometrics. So it helps inform that based off of the performance. We know if we're going to change up and add movement variations, if we're going to focus on specific accessory work. These are the things that inform the future cycles, is your logging. So if you want to, it's like voting, Tex. If you want to be heard, you need the log, right? If you want the training to be really narrowed in, the more data we get, the cleaner it gets.
I'm clicky while you're talky, and I found our old pal Sean Rigsby.
Riggs.
Oh yeah. So he himself is back on the Field Strong cycle.
Attaboy.
And he commented, I'm sorry for blowing you up, Sean, but he was once a guest on Power Athlete Radio. He's both Ireland and USA, so he's an Olympic weightlifter that competes for both countries. I think finding whichever one he's got the best chance in. I love your style. But anyway, he's back on Field Strong, and he said he started a Wednesday, which is more of a movement, get your chili hot day. And he said, all right, haven't trained in 2 weeks from an injury. Perfect day to get moving and start moving the dirt. Looking forward to going from Clydesdale to Mustang. Dang. So welcome back, Sean.
But there's an example now, the feed. So as you're interacting in the feed, we're also letting those people potentially guide the training. However, it allows us to provide an individual coaching experience. Mm-hmm. So individual engagement provides opportunity for our coaches to zero in and narrow in on you and provide individual coaching experience. And that could be in the form of posting a lift video. So if you're posting a lift video, then it helps us understand, number one, how you're interpreting the coaching that we've provided in the narratives and written. So how did you interpret it? And then number two, what specifically did you need or do you need to refine in your setup or execution of lift or movement?
Yes. And then if we're watching these videos and seeing a consistent lack of something, then we have the opportunity to manipulate the warm-up to then fill that limiting factor and prepare you. For example, if we're hitting some form of squats and we're seeing some lack of depth issues or some barefoot squatting videos come in due to ankle issues, well, we can put some of Xannis's foot movements into the Field Strong warm-up or our cocky walks and present an opportunity to then really mobilize and open up the ankles during the squat days before we got to squat.
Right.
So it's an opportunity for us as coaches to then adjust the programs and provide a movement solution for what we are seeing, not just assuming based off the numbers.
That's right. And then what else?
What else you got written down there?
Loads, movement subs, we got that.
Jokes, entertainment.
And then, movement demos that might be ineffective or poorly interpreted, things like that. So that's the big thing too, is film your lifts, man. Drop them on there. We're scrubbing the feed all the time. And man, can you imagine can you imagine training at home alone? Or maybe with your spouse or a friend or two, right? And not having the watchful eye of the Power Athlete Coaches Network on you. Could you imagine a life without that? Ooh.
Well, we did experience that life.
Not me, no.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Well, I feel so the garage gym is taken over. There is this empowered population that bought, purchased, created their own garage gym or got creative and funky with their third monkey. Nice. And a lot of them have not had instruction on lifting since high school or since they were a member of a small box gym. So they are missing that, and then they are going 100% off of how they remember the feeling or the doing. Well, there are specific setup and execution for a lot of these movements to get a specific training response that I feel may be different than your old high school football coach or your small gym trainer. So these are particular setup and executions that may need a watchful eye. What you think to when we say, and we see this often, hey, we're going to set up in our toes forward squat. We want your toes pointing forward, your knees over your arches, you're in steps. And then we have a video posted and we correct their setup. We need toes forward. And they say, they're not, question mark?
Right.
Well, their interpretation of the positioning is not calibrated. So this puts us as coaches in a position to then calibrate your alignment, your expectation, and your feeling.
Right.
And we're going to get a lot of feedback, because we do, that says, yeah, but that doesn't feel right, or that feels awkward. Question, does it hurt? No, but I'm not getting as low. Not yet. So we're changing the way you move to then bias the posterior chain, and we can give you more feedback and purpose specific to your need there. we do that a lot. So I can almost expect what to see and say for a lot of the newcomer athletes, which is fine. We still give you the time and the feedback to help you, because we realize this is your first touch point into the bedrock or whatever program, the power athlete universe. So we need to give you and not assume anything about your setup and execution.
Mm-hmm. Man, and like all that for less than $1 a day.
Wow, that's perspective.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't it? You know what I learned today, Tex?
You learned?
People pay over $100 for a pair of shoes.
Well, I kind of knew that. I mean,
I don't think I knew that.
Shoes ain't cheap.
I guess I just never thought of it. I never even remotely looked at people with all these nice fancy shoes on and like calculated that those were $100 shoes. $150, $200 shoes. Now I know Jordans. I know there's like an echelon of Jordans and like premier.
Carl
Malone.
Carl Malone Case. Block 1 coach is a shoe head.
Yeah.
So I too am in the camp of I don't get it. Like I used to buy a pair of running shoes and a pair of cleats once a year. That's about it.
Bags of sand.
Yeah. So
I felt like such an idiot in that conversation.
Oh my. Well, no, I was inquisitive. I was wondering like, dude, what's up?
Yeah.
And there's just something to it. There's an appeal. Mm-hmm. He shows up in a seminar in a fresh pair of kicks, and I'm freaking just dirty old Vannies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just different. Like
Vanny, text, as we always used to say.
Yeah. Just a different perspective and approach to where I value and probably obsess a little too much over the setup and the execution of the squat versus what is on your feet. I'll still make fun of you, but at the same time, put you in a position to empower performance. But I mean, hey, to each
their own.
And unless you're training on our programs and try to get barefoots.
Yeah. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you learned something today. Those of you following the programs, if you're not logging, do it. Once you start doing it for a couple days, it just glides. It glides. It's super quick. It's super easy. And truly, like, that information informs a lot of things on our end. And I guess makes our life, it doesn't make it any easier. It just allows us to put out a better product. And that's all we care about, is putting out the best training and driving the best results.
Yeah. And I mean, it provides us feedback to where we could watch where we mentioned earlier, seeing the movement and the action. That is feedback for us for the narratives and how we're doing. Mm-hmm. So then you providing and logging and finishing logging your session at the end. So checking the workout, then logging at the end, that provides us feedback to make sure we're accomplishing what we assume we are.
Yeah.
And then we can take this thing farther. And
take you further.
Yeah, and make it a genuine, more memorable training experience.
Yeah.
Training a distance, it is different, but once you get into it and immerse yourself within there's a lot to be unlocked. And guess what? You're doing it all. Mm-hmm. Like, there's something to be said, and we know it's difficult to train alone, but at the end of the day, you're not training alone, and we're taking you further than you can take yourself.
Preach, McQuilkin. So get on it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not following our training, man, shame on you. PowerAthleteHQ.com/training. There's a little program, like a selector tool on there that we just gave a little facelift. So you can participate in that, see what we would recommend for you, and get going. And I'd be shocked if you are serious about hitting the gym and you have a decent setup in terms of equipment. We're talking barbells, some kettlebells, some resistance bands, maybe some dumbbells, sandbag, squat rack, like a bench, that's it, and a med ball.
Yes, yeah.
And it's
you
like
already say like a unilateral weight, like a kettlebell or a dumbbell.
Yeah. Like that's what we use to train people, and they get jacked, and they get fit, and they get skinny, and they get big. Whatever they want, we help them because our nutrition coaches are on there as well. So that's my shameless plug for that. And then this really was for like obviously the folks who are following the training and understanding how are they informing the programming, because it's organic.
And I will say, if you are a coach, two things. One, and this is a harsh statement, but never program for yourself. you're going to bias.
Yep.
You're going to put your bias in, and you're going to create weaknesses. It's going to be bad news. And do what you only enjoy, even when you're not doing what you enjoy. It's still... Anyway, so allow us to guide your training if you are a coach. And number 2, help use that training that you are following to then understand and increase your perspective of programming.
Right.
Long term, whether it's for a year, and see how we lay out the field strong. If you're working with field court sport athletes, nothing better than Bedrock and Field Strong for understanding how we program seasonally.
That's right.
To empower performance.
Yep, in our military, LEO Fire, get on Hammer. We're saving lives over there. That feedback from that channel is like bonkers.
Yeah.
Dude.
And the tactical community, that is blowing up. And if you're looking to become a professional coach within the field, it's moving away from the gym, as we've seen with gyms shutting down, and towards the tactical fire LEO community. So this is a great tool to learn how John specifically has been programming for those door kickers, those war fighters, those badasses on the front lines for a long number of years, and now it's finally at your fingertips.
It is, literally. Well, Tex, I think asked and answered. And you know what's cool, too, is like Train Heroic has a lot of cool stuff on the pipeline for us as coaches. That's going to all right, in the next few months. So this answer might change mid-year next year.
Well, however, we better get it out.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So check it out. We've got a 7-day free trial on all of our training. Get over there, and if you're following it, man, start logging. If you're not, shame on you. Tex, not you though, pal.
So
you're doing great. I love you.
Oh,
you're doing great.
Thanks.
Say it back. Say it. We'll get to that, ladies and gentlemen.
Now it's time for you to empower your performance. Head to powerathletehq.com/training to choose from a number of programs to meet your specific performance goals. And if you like to break a mental sweat too, visit academy.powerathletehq.com and become a real stakeholder in you or your athlete's success. Until next time, bye!